Hey guys, Bridget here. In this video, we're going to create this widget from scratch using Figma Auto Layout. Now, just before we begin, I want to remind you that I recently launched a new CV and a resume pack with over 10 CVs so that you can land your next dream job or freelance project. So feel free to check it out. It's free in the link in the description. And now let's get started. So let's get started by creating a frame which is going to contain the main widget. So I'm not too fussy about the dimensions of the frame as long as it can contain it in an easy way. And then after that, we're simply going to create a rectangle, which is going to be located here at the center of the frame. Now, as a starter, we're going to round up the borders so that it's going to just look a little bit more user-friendly. And what we're gonna do next is we're going to change the fill to white and add a stroke, which is going to be a light gray, but with a just little tint of bluish tone, so that we can have a little bit of color dimension in this element. I'm also going to change the stroke to 1.5 just to make it a little bit bigger overall. Now we're going to add some text, which is going to be right here. So new purchases, we're going to add, or actually let's call it new clients. And we are going to use Inter, which is a free Google Web font, which works really well for UI UX design. We're simply going to increase the number. Now, granted, we're not really focusing too much on the dimensions since we're creating this element as a one-off. But if you were to create it inside of a dashboard design, a web app, or a website project, you're obviously going to think about it in proportions to that element. So we're going to decrease and adjust the font size just a little bit. And the very next thing that we want to do is to add a button here on the right. So we're gonna do just that. And we're going to create an auto layout around these items in just a moment. But before I do that, I wanted to add a icon which is going to essentially help us capture this element function in the UX, which is going to be the enlarge feature. And I'm going to make this into, actually let's do 1.5 for consistency. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use Nucleo icons, which you can download for free. This is a very easy way to add icon libraries and icons in general in the project. So I'm going to drag and drop this icon, which works perfectly well for this specific use case. And I'm going to ungroup it since it's currently in a frame. And I'm going to ungroup once again and actually just use the union select in order to just have one single shape, just going to make it easier in the layers. And I'm going to select both of these guys and create an auto layout, which I'm going to rename to icon. Now at this point, I'm going to go over here. And since this is a call to action, I could consider having this icon in a color, which might be a call to action, but I can go away also with simply have it in gray, since I don't really want to attract too much attention to this specific icon. And I'm also going to slightly increase the size and also going to select the title and create an auto layout out of it. Now, one of the beauties about auto layout is that you can make the content flexible and fluid, but as you can see, the moment that I select this auto layout and I try to make it smaller in width, it's going to be the same. So this is going to be an easy fix. Simply double click on the gap set to auto option, and as you can see, you can now basically have this component be flexible, so very easy to adjust and to configure. And of course, this is going to help create the responsiveness around it. Now, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to add a line, which is going to be the divider line right here. And we're going to bring it here below. And this stage, we also wanted to add another item, which is going to be, or actually nucleo, which is going to be the arrow pointing towards the bottom. And I'm going to select an arrow, which is probably this one right here, could easily fulfill the job. So as you can see, the arrow now is in between these two elements. The way you can solve this is very easily by selecting these two items and creating an auto layout using Shift+A once again. And I'm simply going to bring it all the way over here, and I'm also going to select the arrow, make it of this color, maybe increase the size just a little bit, and this is going to make it work. Perfect. At this point, what we want to do is to create the other stats section. So I'm going to write in today, and I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller. And I'm going to write a random number. So we're going to have this probably 18 pixels or in font size, and I'm going to change the color of this text to something which is somewhat of a gray text, so that it doesn't really take as much visual emphasis. And I'm going to increase also the number right here. I'm going to select both of these guys, create an auto layout, duplicate it, and I'm going to write here yesterday, and I'm going to add another number. Super successful business, so many clients. So let's select both of these. I'm going to create an auto layout, and we can actually select these ones as well. Auto layout once again, and everything is nice and tidy. Cool. At this point, I'm going to select this item using Shift plus Option Alt. 1500 or let's say 2800, and here we're going to have the 0, and going to duplicate also this item right here. And at this point we can also add January 10th, and then this one here is going to be right aligned. It's going to be January 20th. And now comes the fun part, in the sense that we're going to create the actual graphs. So there isn't too much logic when it comes to these. You simply want to create some graphs which might be somewhat resembling the actual fluctuation and just trying to make it look like it's a legit graph. So I'm going to increase the size, maybe just a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more towards a bluish tint, and I'm probably going to use 2.5 of stroke width, and I'm going to create also a second graph, which is going to kind of like mimic some other data, and simply going to go ahead over here like this, and let's say that it intersects over here. Cool, this one is going to be super light, barely visible, since we want to give the spotlight to the actual blue graph. And yeah, this overall is looking good. One more touch to this can be a nice soft drop shadow, since it's definitely going to add to this composition. You can even go one step further and make the stroke a stroke which is more visible on the top and becomes less and less visible on the bottom, so that we can give the drop shadow a little bit of more breathing room, if you wish. We can also adjust the spread. This is another common element that you can use in order to create those nice dribble gradients, but probably going to simply keep it around these lines for the time being. Super soft blur, and yeah, this one's looking pretty good. I can go ahead over here, and for the graphs, I'm not going to be too fussy about the auto layout. So we're going to have left labels, and then these bottom labels in an auto layout together with the frame. I think that makes sense. I can have also these guys into an auto layout, which is going to be vertical in this case. And then I can simply group all of these together, or actually before that I'll group these into a graph. No real sense in having this as an auto layout. And I mean, if you actually start auto layouting this, if that's even a word, you can quickly see some of the drawbacks sometimes of using auto layout in more complex items. So I would just group all of these unless you have a very specific reason not to, and then I can auto layout these two items, and we're pretty much good to go. So at this point we're going to simply auto layout all of this element, center it, and we're going to create the dark version, which as you're going to see, it's actually quite quick and easy. Oops. I'm going to change the background color, which is going to have a tint of blue, just a little bit. Don't want to go too much, but something around these lines. And then for the very most part, just select everything, make it, oops, no, these ones were a pain. I could have selected the groups actually. You can, as you're watching this, you can actually do that yourself so that you don't incur in the same issue. Very easy fix. And I'm going to select these guys, these items. So as you can see, super easy. Change this color right here, make it just a little bit lighter, so that we have also desaturated just a bit. And I'm going to change the stroke. We give it a 10% opacity. It's 10%. Also this one, fill 10%, and also the stroke is going to be. Actually, we can even remove the stroke altogether. Don't think it's necessary. And 10% this, 10% that. Just want to tone down all of the elements, which we don't really need to give as much visual emphasis, if that makes sense. Probably going to desaturate the sky as well, just so we can have the nice look and feeling overall. And yeah, I think we have it. So really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and stay tuned, as we're going to have many more tutorials to come on this channel. And follow me on also the other social media. I'm going to leave the link in the description, and I'll see you soon.